Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody, and welcome to ReZOO, the Zoo Review podcast. I'm your host, Jack Baker, and today I am joined once again by my incredible co-host and fellow passionate zoo lover, the one and only Jodi McFarlane. Say hello, Jodi.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, it feels good to be back. We've not recorded one of these in so long. It's so nice. Presented by Pangolin, the conservation podcast. This sister show promises to explore, appreciate, and highlight the fantastic conservation work of zoos from around the world, while also offering a perspective on the visitor experience.
Today, we are returning to the Netherlands to talk all about Rotterdam Zoo. A fantastically huge and well-organised collection, which features some incredibly unique but brilliant animals.
Yes, as always, we're going to walk you through our day, some of our favourite animals and habitats and conservation projects and things that were going on, before we wrap up with our 2 stars and a wish. And so, yes, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for listening. And without further ado, let's get started. And welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us again today to talk all about Rotterdam Zoo, our second international ReZOO. It'll be after all of the America ones with Connor. There's many of those, but our second together international ReZOO.
Yes.
Are you excited to be here? Were you excited to go to Rotterdam?
I didn't know what to expect going to Rotterdam. I feel like Amsterdam, you kind of know what's coming.
Yeah.
But Rotterdam, it was a mystery.
Yes, I have never been to Rotterdam before. It involved getting a train, which was very stressful. I think I've never seen you more stressed in your entire life because I couldn't read any of the signs because they were all in Dutch. And all of the people there seemed to know exactly what they were doing, which made me be like, oh, I just feel completely incompetent. But we got on a train from Amsterdam to Rotterdam and we made it and we survived. And I'm so glad we did because it was so good. I had such a good day. And I'm so excited to talk about it. It's been a little while since we visited to recording this.
It has. I feel like this ReZOO needs to come with 2 disclaimers for the listeners.
Oh, what's the first?
First is that it's been a while since we've done this, but also since we went to this zoo.
Yes, we've just been very busy.
I think we went in like March. It was March, wasn't it?
It was March.
And at time of recording, it's now June. And people that have listened a lot know that I don't remember what happened yesterday. So it's going to be a journey, but we'll get there. And the second disclaimer I feel that we need to make people aware of is that today we are sitting on very squeaky chairs.
Yeah, we are. I'll try and squeak a little. Oh, actually, no, they're not squeaking.
I'm trying to make it squeak. It's not
squeak.
happening.
Oh, there you go.
There's a squeak.
So if you hear a squeak, yes, I did wonder what your second disclaimer was going to be, but I'm glad you gave it.
I just want to let people know what it is so they don't think it's us making that noise.
That's nice, because when I edit this, then people will know.
Yes.
That's the struggle. But no, I'm so excited to be back. And yes, I think what was exciting about this was I've been to Amsterdam before, so I'd been to Artis before. I'd seen all that, so I was still excited to go, but I'd seen it before.
Yes.
Whereas this was still the Netherlands, it's still the first, exciting to be somewhere different, but it was something completely, completely new. Yeah. And that made me very, very excited. Because, did you know anything going in about Rotterdam?
No, I had no idea. To be honest, I kind of felt like, because of, Amsterdam's sort of the main attraction of the Netherlands for a lot of people, I expected that would be, the star, and then Rotterdam Zoo was going to be just this little small kind of side zoo, and how wrong I was.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was huge. It was fantastic. It had species that I've never seen before and haven't seen since when going to other places. And it was just incredible. I'm so excited to talk about it. And in our intro, we did hint a little bit about it. That it is very well organised, which is something we love. Just to get right off the bat, we'll be talking continent specific throughout. So you start with Asia when actually, there's another caveat. There are 2 entrances to the zoo.
Yes.
So we started with Asia, but if you go through the other entrance, you'll start with the aquarium. So if you're looking at a map and you're like, what's going on? There's an entrance at one end of the zoo and an entrance at the other end of the zoo.
Yeah.
So we start with Asia, then we went to South America, round to North America, to an ocean aquarium exhibit, and then to Africa, and then to Europe and Australia in a little bit. A little bit of that. And so it's just so well organised and it's so brilliant. And so yes, today, I feel like it's going to be very easy for us to structure this because, simple.
Go with the continents.
Go with the continents. And of course, we start with Well, actually, before we get into the continents, what was your first, as we approached and entered, what was your first impression?
We arrived pretty early. And
Yes.
it's been kind of like a misty, rainy morning, so it was
Yes,
very
'cause
quiet.
it opened at 9 a.m.
Yeah, and I feel like the way that you mentioned there, the two entrances, and I almost feel like the other entrance at the aquarium is designed to be kind of like the main one.
entrance, yeah.
So walking in, it did feel slightly ghost townish, just a wee bit, and there was still like workers out like sweeping the paths and setting up and stuff. So you got the vibe of like, are we here too early? Like, are they definitely open? But it was a nice start because it was nice and chill, and it meant we kind of had it to ourselves. For the
because
first
everyone
bit.
was so friendly. Like it wasn't like you walked in and it was like, we don't want you here. You walked in and everyone was like, oh, hello.
Yeah,
like,
they were just
welcome.
yeah,
like,
in you go.
Here's your map, like, ready to go. And they were like excited you could tell they were excited to be setting up for another day, which was really nice.
Yeah, and to have visitors in the middle of the week on a rainy morning.
Yes.
Like, yes, there's people.
Yes.
So we had that vibe.
Yeah, it was very fantastic, and like I quite liked. It was a very friendly vibe. It was a very interesting vibe, and I remember the one thing that like made me laugh when we walked in, because they were just a continual annoyance throughout the day, and if I was anyone who had to work in the office next to them, I would hate it. Because the first thing you walked into were the flamingos, and like they were beautiful and lovely, but I don't think I heard them. I didn't hear silence throughout the entire day.
No.
Every time you're around them. So the poor people, like the ticket office backs onto these flamingos, and they were just like all day, and I found it very amusing.
Like at the end of the day, we left by that entrance, and I think I sat on a bench so you could like, I don't know,
go off and look at something.
Yeah, to like go and take one last photo. Oh, I think it was the toucan.
It
We were
was
trying to
the
get
toucan. It was
so I
the
was
toucan.
sat on this bench for maybe like 15 minutes or something till you came back. And I knew instantly I'd made a mistake. Just constant soundtrack to the background. It's just these flamingos squawking.
And I thought it was because flamingos are not usually loud.
No,
but those
I don't
ones
associate
all day.
them with being annoying, but these ones really were. They just never stopped.
And I loved it. So I guess that leads us nicely in. The first thing we came to were flamingos. They were beautiful. They were loud. They were fabulous. And they have a nice kind of big round pool space right next to the ticket desk, for better or worse, for those poor staff members. Then you move into Asia. And Asia is kind of this huge themed area. We'll come around to everything, but a couple highlights just to like get the ball rolling. We walked past the Amur Leopards, Pallas Cats, tapirs, red pandas, like Banteng. I love how Banteng's a highlight for me.
Oh, yes.
Banteng. All sorts of incredible stuff. And so it's a really good selection of like weird, unique Asian animals.
Yeah.
And the first of which you see is an Amur leopard. Which there are so few hundred left of the Amur leopards in the wild. They are an incredibly endangered species, and I've never seen one before in my life. And so part of the big reason for going to Rotterdam was I wanted to see one. And I still kind of thought, we're not going to see them.
Yeah.
They're Amur leopards. They'll disappear into the undergrowth or something. You'll not see them. We walked around the corner first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Because it was silent, because there was no one else there. It was just sat there like looking at the glass like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Who are you? Why are you here? And I loved it. It was so like that moment of like connection of like, oh, well, that's one of the big things I wanted to see.
Yeah, and I think it was nice to see it at that time in the morning because we're busy. It was the afternoon. There was loads of like kids up against the glass. I feel like it would have been a very different experience.
Yes, I feel like they would have disappeared. It would have been hard to get photos.
Yeah.
And like, it would have been, trickier to kind of get that connection. Like, and I think that's the power of like zoos, is those moments where like you see an animal and you have that one-on-one moment that you've kind of dreamt about and it actually happens. And then you're like, this is I love this and I love it. And it was just really, really special. So I was very, very happy to have had that moment with it. And I just loved it. Loved it. The space was really interesting. It was kind of a glass pane that you kind of saw. It did have a couple viewing areas, but it was majorly one viewing area and then it could disappear off, which I think is very nice, very good for it. There were two of them, I believe, because at the start I only saw the one when we went in the first time, but then the second time we went, there was two of them strolling about. And just an incredible, incredible animal that I didn't expect to see. And if anyone doesn't know what an Amur leopard is, Google it, because I would argue it's probably the most attractive big cat.
It is very striking.
Yes. And then, you keep moving. You keep ploughing on into Asia, and you come past the Amur leopards into a kind of swampy, marshy themed area,
Yes.
which contains things like the pelicans, a house with the Komodo dragon, a fishing cat, cranes, Sulawesi macaques, and that kind of like swampy, watery, birdy feeling area. Any impressions on that kind of zone?
This zone was the first time when I kind of realised, okay, this is the kind of zoo we're dealing with.
Huge.
Because, yes, you realise the scale. Because what I think I tried to express to you, I don't know if I kind of articulated it particularly well at the time, but in that, you know, we go to zoos here, and particularly in Scotland, we're kind of limited by the space we've got, especially if it's like a city zoo, because you've got to work with the space you've got, and that's it. So you've maybe got an animal and a habitat, but it's just like, here's the habitat. It's a standalone thing in whichever part of the zoo it is. Whereas here, because they had so much space, they had the ability to really theme up like the whole of an area. So even just walking in between thing to thing, it felt very immersive, I think is the word I would look for. So you're walking through that thing, and you just felt like you were in it. Like you felt like you were in the middle of the habitat rather than being outside looking in.
Yes, there was very little. There was a lack of like fences. It was like they were there, and there were clever ways of separating you from them without it being like you feeling separate from them.
Yes.
And it wasn't like this fake kind of structured like pathway system. It felt very natural, like you were wandering through the kind of jungle and bumping into a fishing cat and bumping into, and like even stuff like, do you remember the viewing platform for the fishing cat? There was all the standard like ones that you could go into, but then there was also that log that you could crawl into and see into the fishing cat. The house that the Komodo dragons were in was themed. It was kind of like a hut, like in the jungle hut type thing. Like, it was really immersive and really, really cool. And like, I really, really enjoyed like, just this feeling of like walking on boardwalks over a swamp in what felt like the middle of nowhere. And then like the design was really clever for certain things, because like for the macaques, they had an island habitat. Yeah. But then they also had an indoor house, and they clearly go under the water somehow to get to the... It was just really cool. Yeah. The whole area was really well themed, and it felt like any of these animals could also interact with one another, not just with... Even though they were in habitats, it was really well done. Really well done. And what I would say is it also highlighted for me, not just that thing about this is the type of zoo in the theming, like this is the type of zoo in terms of like, it's well organised. Yeah. Because the way that it works basically is there's this big main path that goes round, and what is essentially a circle, like a big loop. Yeah. And then off of that path are these little like, littler paths that kind of create like, that extend the loop but always lead you back onto the main loop. That was a terrible description.
No, but I know, like, when I was, because you know me, I like to be organised, I like to have our route
You're
planned,
very stressed.
and I get stressed. So to start with, I was a bit stressed, but then once I got the hang of what the map was doing, then I thought, oh, this is actually really well organised. Because say you were a member and you live nearby and you didn't want to go around the entire zoo, you could cut the little sections out and just stick on the main path.
Be like, I only want to see the red pandas today.
Yeah, so like later in the day, once we'd done everything and there was a few favourites we wanted to just nip back and see.
It was actually really quick.
We went on the main path, cut out all the little side paths, and it was amazing how quick you could get from A to B. Something that had taken us 2 hours in the morning took like 10 minutes, you know? Yeah. Like, so I think it was very well designed in that way, and that you could kind of make the experience as long or as short as you wanted. Yes. And it was really good. And it allowed for species that weren't always going to be highlighted to really be given pride of place, because they were on these kind of like off the main loop things, so you kind of had to go past them, and at first it felt confusing, but then once you realised that you always ended up back on the main path, it was quite good, because you were never going to miss anything. Yes, because you always came back to that main path. Yes, so it was just like I loved it. It was fantastic. It was really, really good. And I guess like. Yeah, that was kind of that first loop. And I feel like it's a good first loop to come to, because so the way that we came in, I was glad, because I feel like it kind of... I'm trying to think of the right way to summarize this. I think it kind of summed up what the zoo was going to be for us. And it was really, really good, and it set it high. And so yes, then you continue walking along this path. You're on the main path again, and you come past bantangs. Huge bantang paddock, which was lovely. Always good. I feel like I've told you about my love for bantangs many times. So we don't need to focus too much on it, but very good. On the other side of the path, there was the camels,
which was really interesting. There was also little aviaries dotted around this area, which were really, really nice, contained really beautiful, bright coloured little birds, which were fabulous. But I think the next major thing that we must discuss, and I feel like we should clear most of the podcast time out for, is the red panda.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
The way your voice broke there.
This was probably the best red panda. I'll use the word exhibit, and I know we move away from exhibit these days and more say like habitat for the animal, but the reason I'm saying exhibit is because it was the whole thing. It was the way it was themed up, not just for the animal and its habitat, but the whole surrounding space for the visitor as well. This was, I remember saying to you at the time, this is the level of space and care and attention that I want all zoos to give to red pandas. This is what they deserve.
Because I feel like red pandas are often a species that are like, people love them, but like, and they are treated lovely. They have like their habitats and whatever. Like they're treated, I would say, equally as well as everybody else.
Yeah.
However, Jodi is biased because she loves red pandas. Yes. And what the difference was here was they were not treated like everybody else. No. You walked into what was essentially a mountain that had been built specifically just for red pandas.
Yes.
There was a whole forest area. There was a cabin. There was pathways. There was wooden things just for red pandas. Yeah. They must have had 10. Like honestly, there was at least. Because they had that 7 or 8,
kind of mountainy bit. Then you went through the little hut that was a whole hut about red pandas, and there was information and like interactive bits.
And it was themed with the Red Panda Network theming, which is the conservation organisation in Nepal which works with red pandas, which was really good.
And then you came out and it was a little kind of walk round bit where they were all up in trees, and every time I thought, oh look, there's one. I thought, oh, we spotted it, then you found like 4 more.
Yes.
It was great. So
and
good.
like, yeah, and they had like a little deer in with them. I don't know if you remember the little deer, probably not, because you were too focused on the pandas. But it was just like, this is what a red panda habitat should be. Like, knock down all of the, like, every other habitat round about them and just build red panda space.
I think because they're quite small, you just can give them a tree, stick them in the tree, and that's it. Tick. Done. They'll be quite happy. But yes, they'd really given them their moment here. That's
it was a full experience.
Yes. And was there not, in the hut thing, was there not some sort of reference to calling them like the guardians of something?
So there's forest guardians who work with the red pandas.
Oh, okay.
So forest guardians work in Nepal to protect the red panda. Okay. There are 2 episodes about red pandas of the podcast already. Go back and listen to them. I think they're about episode, I want to say 50 something, 40s to 50s. Go back and find them. There's 2 episodes back to back. They're great. And the Red Panda Network has a forest guardian program where people from Nepal go out and they protect the forest for the red pandas. And yeah, it's a really good, interesting program.
Well, I love that because it gave a feel of like
we're in Nepal.
Yeah, and just like there was something almost like, how would I describe this? Not like a temple, but it felt like we were really respecting these animals.
There was
here,
like statues of stuff.
Yeah, and like flags up, and it had all the kind of markings all over them. And even the toilets in this section were all themed up to be red panda-ish. It was great.
And it didn't border into, which sometimes theme parks and kind of zoos and all these things can do when they go, we're going to build an Asian environment.
Yes, like stereotypical.
But it didn't do that.
It didn't do that. That's what I mean by it felt very like respectful to them. These animals are very revered, and I was like, yes.
I love not just respectful to the animals, but respectful to the culture and the place and the people. Like it was really well put together.
As a red panda fan, I was like, yes.
You were there for hours.
I loved it. My favourite red panda.
It really, and it peaked. So the zoo is peaking high already, which is like impressive. I think what spoke volumes was like the red pandas were right next to rhinos, and you just didn't care about the rhinos at all. I love the rhinos.
Because when you were in with the red pandas, you looked across the little, was it a river?
It was like there was a rivery bit, so you were up looking down on the because it was greater one-horned rhinos, I think, in this section.
And I like the way that the zoo kind of flowed you naturally to the next animal, because as you were finishing looking at the pandas, it was like, there's a rhino over there.
There's a rhino over there, yeah.
So it kept you moving.
Yes, and the rhino space was really interesting. It kind of this long area with like a big pool, which was nice for them. I feel like a lot of people don't think of rhinos as wanting to spend lots of time in water because they think of African species of rhino, but having worked at Edinburgh Zoo with the greater one-horned rhinos there, they spend a lot of time just like in mud and in water and like covering themselves just in anything they can get a hold of, basically. And so it was really, really nice space. Again, rhinos, always a big hitter, always a winner. Really loved it. And I think the space was really creative. I think we'll get into their indoor house in a second, though, because opposite the rhinos, so once you get past the red pandas, you get into the Pallas cat.
Yes.
Which was a tiny little, like, it was kind of like, if you didn't know what was there, you'd walk past it. It was just this little glass window that you could go up and see. And, like, I feel like we got so lucky because we saw the Pallas cat, which is something that I had wanted to see and really wanted to see. I didn't have enough chance to get a good photo of it because I was just in awe. And then it was, like, there for a second and it was gone.
Yeah. Because
they are very elusive, very, like, hidden cats.
And we went back multiple times and we never saw it again.
Yes.
So we were lucky that first time.
I think so. And I think for, like, Pallas cat are, like... So they're basically they're memed a lot. They're the grey cats that you'll see that have the big expressive eyes and always have a stupid looking, like, shocked face on or something. And they, like, live in the snow. They have these, like, big thick paws. They're kind of chunky. They have this big long fur. And they're just, like, really charismatic animals.
Everything you would want.
Yeah, and there was Frozen Planet 2 when that was on last year. Like, that had a whole storyline about Pallas cats and it was fantastic. And, like... I'd always been aware of them, but seeing them in action, that made me love them. And then seeing it in real life here, I was like, yes, the love is real and it is intense. And yeah, because I think it was actually, so we'd seen them, like, and I know we got lucky to see them because when we saw them, it was great. When we came back, I think it was someone who, they don't think they worked there.
I got the vibe it was like a member.
I think it was like someone who's there a lot. Yes.
Yeah, because
he
was
just
giving
like,
us
you'll never
tips.
see, like, if they're not there, come around here. Oh, they're not there. You're not going to see them. They're chilling. They're done for the day. They're just going to relax. Yeah. Which, honestly, thank you, sir. That was very helpful because it could have saved us standing there all day to be like, where are the cats? Where are the cats? And it's the type of thing that, like, only a member is going to, like, know and, like, notice.
And I also thought that was lovely. That's another benefit of going when it's quiet during the week is that the people that are there are keen zoo goers, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought that was really nice as well. There is something about zoos and that it does unite all zoo lovers and people. It is acceptable for people you don't know to just come up and start chatting to you about whatever animal you're looking at, and it's not weird. It was really lovely.
Yeah, it was great.
That was sweet.
It was great. It was just great. It was great. I like, and, like, so friendly. I found that actually in the Netherlands. Everyone was so nice to us.
People were really nice.
People of the Netherlands, if you're listening, you are so lovely. Everyone was so kind.
Because in the centre, you know, if you're in Amsterdam or whatever, people will speak a lot of English and just
be very accommodating.
Yeah, whereas we found going here, English wasn't necessarily the first language someone would speak to you in. They would speak to you in Dutch and then try to accommodate you when they realised that we had no idea what they were saying. Yeah, so even this man,
really nice.
Who was just a normal zoo goer, like, made the effort to talk to us tourists, and it was just nice.
Yeah, and, like, it was really, it was just really, really nice. Really, really nice. Yeah. Like, do you remember our waiter in the Hard Rock Cafe?
Oh, yes.
Shout out to him. He was excellent. He was a lot, given we were very tired from travelling, but he was excellent. Anyway, that's nothing to do with the zoo. So Pallas cat, wonderful. Moving on into the kind of big mammal house.
Yeah, this was amazing.
Amazing. So in
even
this
just
kind of
walking
Asian
up to
section,
it, like all the plants coming off it, and it's like a waterfall.
Yes. So like you're walking up, as Jodi does, you're setting the scene, there's waterfalls. So the rhino thing that you've kind of been walking alongside here then leads into this building. On the opposite side of the road, there's another building, which was an aviary, but that was closed for us when we went. So we're going to focus on the mammal house. You go in, and it's the indoor habitat for the rhinos, elephants, tapirs, and also in there are hornbills. Yeah. And I believe there was also some like smaller tanks around with other little things, but the major things to be
stealing the focus
were the hornbills, the elephants, the rhinos, and the tapirs, obviously. Yeah. And it was just brilliant. Like, I loved... It really was. Like, loved it. This house was like... It felt like walking into a jungle. It's one of those places you're like... Glasses, camera lens, whatever you have, instantly steam up. So you're just, like, blinded. And then it's slowly revealed to you as the fog clears. And you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Because I feel like we walked in and saw the elephants, which were inside. And
the baby elephant.
That was impressive enough. And it's like, your focus is so stolen by the elephants. You've been looking at them for 10 minutes. And then you turn around and you're like, oh, there's rhinos in here too? Because it was so big and impressive that in other zoos, that like having just an elephant house would be impressive enough, but they're like,
they've combined the three.
We're going to combine them all. It's a triple threat. And it's so good.
And they had a baby elephant, which was just the cutest, dopiest thing. That was just annoying all of the adults. And I love that so much. And it was good. It was really nice. And I think what was nice is that the day we went, it was pouring with rain.
Yeah.
For most of the day, so we were able to like strategically plan going into these buildings to try and avoid the worst of the rain. And it was really nice because it was a nice warm dry space that we could come into. And it was just, it felt so immersive, especially with the addition of the hornbills and all these other things, like bringing them all together, having them all in this space. I imagine like as if I was a educator in that zoo, that's a dream space to have to like teach in and like really be like, let's talk about mammals. Let's talk about diversity of large mammals. Let's talk about like diversity of like different threats that mammals face and different like whatever, and like some of the things that like are supported by different animals. I imagine it's the same storyline with these guys in that like, so in Africa, we recently had an episode of the podcast with Lucy Kemp, who works with hornbills in Africa, and she was talking about how elephants knock branches off of trees, which is what forms the hollows in the trees, which the hornbills use to nest. And so it's nice to have those potential storylines, because I imagine it's a similar story between the Asian elephants and the kind of those kind of hornbills and that sort of. So it was a really good space. Really loved it. And the interpretation, like, while most of it was in Dutch, and therefore could not understand it, the pictures and everything, I was like, you put thought into this. Even if I couldn't read it, you've put thought into this.
Yeah, definitely. Just that way of like, you could spend hours in that one building.
Yeah.
And I feel like Chester had that effect as well. Like when you've got one space of your zoo that is so great that it could just occupy people for ages, you know you're doing something right.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, that was like, this is the thing. Because I actually don't think this is the zoo that had the biggest number of species that I've ever seen. But it's certainly the zoo that I feel like, or one of the zoos that I feel like I could have spent the longest in.
Yes, definitely.
Because you could have just spent time enjoying these spaces, which was really, really nice.
It's the kind of thing where you think, oh, I'm so jealous of people that live near this. Because if I lived here, I would be a member. I would come here all the time to really make the most of it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just brilliant. And then speaking of brilliant things, we had 2 Asian cats to finish off the area. We'll start with Sumatran tigers, then we'll move on to lions, because I think the lions is interesting because it borders Africa, so there's a little bit of a thing there, which was really cool. So we'll start with Sumatran tigers. Excellent, peaceful, quiet, lovely, wandering around, looking very like, well, I feel like we got like, it was like the animals knew we were coming and they were just like, oh, hello, just like we're ready and active.
Yeah.
And like, it was good. I really, really enjoyed it. It has kind of the opposite of Edinburgh Zoo in that, like, where at Edinburgh Zoo you walk through a tunnel and the tigers go over your head. Here, you kind of walk through a tunnel and the tigers go under your feet.
Yeah.
And they pass between the 2 like areas, so you could see them going under a little bit.
But you still kind of felt like you were underground because it was in this almost like
hut-y thing.
Yeah, like
it was
like
good.
A cave?
I think it was more of a hut than a cave.
I can't remember. I just remember kind of feeling like I was going down underground a little bit, and then there was just tigers.
And they kind of were like, what was quite nice is there was so much planting that even though I was kind of like, even when I was like following the tiger, I was like, okay, it's gone this way, it's gone that way, and then it would disappear and then it would pop up somewhere else, which I really enjoyed. I believe it was Sumatran tigers that they had. I think so. Yeah, which was really, really interesting. Love that. And then the last thing that they had in this area was the lions. Yes. Which were also excellent. And what I was kind of hinting at before in terms of like more excellent theming and area design was that, so as I said at the start, this whole zoo is broken down into sections. So you have kind of the like Asia section, Africa section, South America, whatever. The lions border, even though they're Asiatic lions, they border the Asia section and the Africa section. So from the Asia side, which we were in at this point, you look in, you see these Asiatic lions, you learn their story, you learn about the fact that, like, obviously they are a very endangered species, found only in one place in India. But then when you go around to the Africa side, they still have interpretation, but it's about African lions. So it's like, these are not the lions you're seeing.
It's more like a safari.
But like, yes, they had like safari trucks and stuff. So the theming entirely changed on the opposite side of the habitat, which allowed for like as an educator, again, I was like, because you have this like brilliant use of, well, here are the lions, we have Asiatic lions in here, but you can teach about the fact that there's like African lions, Asiatic lions. Most people, I think, lions just come from Africa, so it's really interesting then to have that contrast between the two.
Yeah,
and I really love that as like a thing. I think it was really, really good.
Yeah, and initially we were slightly confused because we were like, well, are they African lions or Asiatic lions? Like, what are we looking at?
Because we don't speak Dutch.
Yes.
So
but then once we realised, okay, it's just that they're highlighting that you do get the two different types, I think it was very cleverly done.
Yes.
Was there not around that side, there was a jeep, like safari jeep thing, and you could fully like go inside it?
That was on the Africa side, yes.
Yeah.
And it was quite good. I like that. And I think it would be a good classroom to have as like a you could take kids in and be like, so.
You can imagine kids being all over that.
Yeah. It was just brilliant. Like, so good. And it's such a nice way to finish out that kind of Africa area. Asia area. Before we get into Africa later on, of course. So, yes, at this point, you kind of have finished Asia. You've kind of wrapped that all up. It's made a brilliant impression on you because you're like, elephants, tapirs, everything, brilliant. And then you go like under this bridge. So I think it's a road bridge, basically crosses the zoo, cuts the zoo in half. So you kind of go under this road, and that kind of takes you onto the other side of the zoo. So you kind of have a couple choices. You can either go under that bridge and kind of see South America, North America, and the ocean part, or you can stay on the side and continue around and see Africa, all on the same side of the road as you've been on already.
Yeah.
We decided we're going to go under and kind of continue along, do the other side, and then come back to Africa.
Yes.
So we went under, and the first thing you come to, I think, is South America, which is made up of some aviaries, some vicuna, I believe, some emus, and a big kind of plastic dome that's like a big greenhouse filled with species as well in there, all sorts of like fish and insects and snakes and all sorts of really cool stuff. So I feel like this area we can kind of discuss as a whole, I guess.
Yeah, because it was fairly compact.
It was compact. So what stood out to you in this?
What stood out to me in this bit? Is this where they had some of the rose ibis? In one of
the big bright pink ibis.
Yes. So I feel like this really became a theme over our sort of recent zoo trips that we've had. Like, we hadn't seen any of these pink ibis, and then suddenly we couldn't stop seeing them.
They were everywhere.
And I'm really a fan now. They really captured my imagination.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah. I think they are the ones that when we went to Chester, they're very similar to the ones that you thought were baby.
Oh, yeah.
Are those flamingos?
No, funny shaped flamingos.
No, Jodi. Completely different bird. Just like, love that.
I like this bit because you could... By this point, I was getting slightly stressed. We'd spent many an hour and we were not even part of the way through the zoo yet. So this bit, because you could kind of just keep walking down the main path and you were seeing things on either side, you could pace
covering
it.
stuff.
You were getting
like,
ground covered, yeah. So I appreciated that because by this point in the day, my blood pressure was raising slightly. But yes.
No, it was good. And inside the dome was also good. It had like...
Is this the dome that we thought was closed?
So it was closed earlier on in the day.
And then it reopened.
Later
That's why you go back round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did because it had probably the largest... was it an arowana or an arapaima?
Oh, I can't remember.
Or it was a big old fish. It was a big old fish. Like, it was one of the biggest fish I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like... in there, and it was brilliant. We saw a snake like under the water, like moving around, which I've never seen like one of those big kind of boas moving so actively before.
Yeah.
And it was a really interesting space that I think like was in the process. They must have been in the process of doing something to it because it was closed in the morning. So
was it not because it had been really stormy in the morning and windy? And once we went in, even though the wind had died down by that point of the day, the dome was still like flapping.
Yeah.
So I feel like and given did they not have butterflies flying around? They probably needed to fix that ASAP.
Yeah, and just make sure that like no one's at risk being inside a big plastic dome That's actually our whole Netherlands trip. I think. Was at wind speeds of like 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. So windy. I could see why they would make that choice. And it was just a really nice, kind of compact but good area, which highlighted really interesting things. And then you get through into North America, which again we can kind of do most of it in one kind of sweep because you had the kind of prairie dogs, bison, polar bears, Arctic foxes, Steller sea eagles.
Yes.
And so you see that you kind of walk.
You just kind of followed the path, and as you wound down this little path to the big polar bear house, you kind of saw everything on the way. Yes.
And so, I think like the stars for me of this were prairie dogs, always funny because they're always just like, look silly. They're doing silly things. The bison were cool, but the real star, I think, then once you kind of get past the bison is the polar bears.
Yes.
Because they have an underwater viewing, but the pool is so deep that it's like I don't even know. It felt like it was about 8 to 10 meters deep of just like glass.
Yeah.
That you could like see these polar bears like swimming around, coming up to the glass, throwing themselves in the water, like just having a good time. And it was really like an incredible viewing thing. And I think what was nice is it had lots of different vantage points as well. So you could see the habitat from different areas. Like, it was just great. It was just really great. Like,
that was so
big
good.
fan.
And then once you went inside the building, it was all themed up, like you were walking through.
Yes, and there was the glacier bit that you could climb through. That was cool.
And then they had like, I wonder if they do a polar bear talk at some point, because it was almost like a, there was like seating going down. What do you call that? What am I trying to say?
I love how you don't do
I'm
sports.
doing the action.
You don't.
Is it like an arena?
Like an arena.
Stadium?
Something like that.
But anyway, there was rows of
like
seating
bleachers.
that went down. Yeah, so it's like the audience could sit and then they're looking at the big massive glass wall where the polar bear can swim and dive and stuff. So that would be a good place. Again, to be like a classroom set up if you were teaching, or to have a talk going on, or maybe like a feeding display if they were diving down and the audience could sit and watch. But it was a nice little, just nice point to just pause and just sit and rest and watch what was going on and just, collect our thoughts before we moved on for the rest.
I could have stood in there for ages and watched that polar bear playing with the balls and barrels and everything else that it had. It was just great.
Because there was two and they were both like pretty active when we were there.
Yeah, just like all over each other, running, splashing, doing stuff. It was great. And then, you keep walking. Steller sea eagle. Always great. Interesting to see. Wasn't doing very much, but it was looking excellent while it did it. And then the Arctic fox had a really cool space where it was kind of built up this hillside with like a river flowing down. That was really fun, really interesting. Love the Arctic fox because obviously it has that interesting colour change throughout the year between white and then like dark brown in the summer, which I think a lot of people will never picture them as these bright white creatures, but they have a really interesting kind of rotation of fur, which is fun. And then, you got onto... Oh, there was raccoons in this as well, this area, but we didn't see the raccoons.
No, was that the bit they were doing work on?
No, it was there. No, so it was there, but we just didn't see them.
Oh.
Yeah. The bit that they were doing work on was, like, they were relaying a lot of the paths around this area, I think, to just, like, make it a bit more of a welcoming area, like, coming in. Because as you exit this zone, you've now kind of come to the other end of the park where the other entrance is.
Yes, and this feels like it's the main entrance.
Yes, and this feels like the main entrance because there's there is gift shops and stuff at the other end where we came in, but at this end, gift shops bigger, restaurants bigger, like entry gateway even is bigger. There's more like turnstiles and stuff. I think this must be the side that the car park's in.
Yeah.
So
felt like it was the main event.
Yes. So we also stopped for lunch at this point.
We did.
And everyone loves a good lunch chat. We went in. It had a very good selection. It was a classic lunch.
Yeah.
Like with like...
canteen set up. You can go around and pick what you want.
Yeah. Little bottles of juice.
Yeah.
Little like... I can't really remember what I had. Yes. Yes. Paninis. Because I was like... I feel like we'd been eating so much food over the past few days. I was like, I don't want a big meal. No. They had paninis, which was nice. I don't remember it being particularly expensive.
No, it wasn't that busy either. Like, there was families in, but it was kind of peaceful enough that you could sit and chill. There was pigeons going about, so if anyone doesn't like birds, maybe not the place for you to have lunch.
No. But what was nice was there was an indoor area and an outdoor area. So, like, we went in the winter, so it was cold, so we sat indoors, but it still didn't feel cramped.
Yeah.
And obviously, in the summer, when it's busier, they can open up the outdoor area, and then that relieves some of the pressure from the indoors. And it was really nice. There was a gift shop attached to it as well, which had a good selection of things. Not as good as the Prague Zoo selection of things, which we'll get to in our next ReZOO, because Prague Zoo had so much pangolin merchandise. It was great. But still, excellent selection of stuff. And it was really, really nice. I would have said, like, if we'd come in this way as a first impression, I would have been also impressed. Even if there wasn't an Amur leopard right there.
Yeah.
They have the polar bears right there, and they have this, like, all sorts of other stuff. Now, the next section... I feel like could be a ReZOO or a zoo or an aquarium completely of its own.
All on its own, yes.
Yes.
And that is how you know
it's good.
that
because
it's impressive.
It was the under the sea kind of aquarium area.
Mm-hmm.
I have paid lots of money to go into aquariums that are smaller than that. This.
Yes.
So basically, when you walk into the zoo, you're greeted by this North America area, or you can go via this aquarium. And the aquarium is huge.
Yes.
And when I say huge, I mean it covers every ocean. It covers mammals, it covers birds, it covers penguins to puffins to sea lions to reptiles. There's like tortoises attached to this as well. There is all sorts of like lab things that you can see. There's sharks, there's starfish, there's like educational centres where they clearly bring kids in and teach them about ocean science. Everything.
It was so good.
Amazing. And like, we cannot do it justice in this time.
No.
So we've
done whole ReZoos about standalone aquariums that are smaller than this. So
yes, we're going to have to just believe us when we say fantastic.
So good.
So yeah, what were your thoughts on? Actually, before we go into the aquarium, this has just reminded me. So before you go in, you see the
sea lions.
Sea lions, yes. And I was watching the sea lions quite innocently, and then a group of school children started shouting at me and trying to bully me, which I did not love.
I thought it was away by that point, and you came over and you were like,
"These school
children are shouting at me." I was like, "Sorry."
Yeah, and I don't know what I was just looking at the sea lions,
but because they were shouting at you in Dutch,
I had no idea what they were saying. The only things that it sounded like they said something cameraman, and I was like, yes, I am taking photos of the animals for too long, guys. Okay, fine. But it was just very intimidating.
No, but I remember because then it was obviously a school trip, and it was kind of high school age. It was teenagers. Yeah. And when we went into the aquarium, there was more of them. It was like boys running about and being quite loud, and that just to go off on a tangent a little bit, always annoys me when there's a school trip in and the teachers just let them run riot, because in this case they were not. Clearly shouldn't have been trusted to behave themselves because they were shouting and banging on glass and just not the one.
And being rude to like lots of families and things.
Yeah, being rude to other visitors,
Which, like, guys, if you take your kids to the zoo, I feel like it's the general rule. Everyone is there to have a good time.
Yeah.
So make sure everyone has a good time by respecting them.
Yeah.
Don't allow people to be rude to each other, because that's not what we want. That's not the kind of lovely zoo vibe that everybody wants to go to. We want to be like having a good day without a group of youths shouting at us.
Yes. So that was kind of the only negative of the aquarium, was that we were there at the same time as these youths who were not behaving. But that is the only bad thing I can say about that aquarium, which really tells you everything you need to know.
Yes. So, yes, you go past, there's the sea lions at the start. What did you think about the sea lions?
I just really appreciate when you can see stuff from like an underwater viewing point. I really love that. I'm always a fan, no matter what it is. Penguins, polar bears, sea lions. So, yes, it was very nice to see them swimming. And it wasn't just like one window that everyone's crammed round. It kind of went all the way along.
Yes.
So you could see different ones doing different things.
Which was excellent. And then on the opposite side there was birds, which were interesting, because I feel like most aviaries are like African bird species that live on the savannah, or they live like wherever, like, and a lot of zoos do rainforest aviaries really well, but this did like a coastal aviary that wasn't penguins.
Was there not like puffins in it? I think?
Yeah, it was really good.
Liked that as well, and they had it set up so that they could be in the sort of nooks and crannies of the rocks at the back, or they could be swimming along. I feel like that was really well done. It
was really interesting. And then, yes, you come in and you're immediately into this dark kind of cavey area, I think. And you kind of like go through ocean kind of areas, into river areas, into like mangrove swampy areas. Like, there are animals in there that I had never seen nor heard of before. And it was just really fascinating. I really, really loved it. Like, any highlights once you were in the aquarium you want to mention?
Was there not a bit, and I can't remember now what it was, but it was helped by the interp around the building. Like, it felt like you were going from like an under the sea zone to then coming up to sort of in the middle, and then coming up to above land.
The bit where it was like a ramp you were going up. Where, like, as if, so you started at one end and it was like deep. So I think I'm thinking of the
like
same
it transitioned you from different zones of the sea almost.
Because at one end there was like rays in the kind of deeper bit, and when it got shallower and shallower and shallower, and it had smaller species and things that went up like that. Is that the one you were thinking of?
I think so. And was it not like when you looked up at the ceiling, it was painted, and was it like seagulls' legs like swimming in the water or something? So it felt like you were underwater.
I didn't see that.
I remember standing and admiring the like painting that they'd done on the roof, because it just really again felt immersive the way that they'd done it. I really enjoyed this whole aquarium. All I can think of for some reason is the big fat starfish towards the end.
Yes.
They were really sticking in my mind.
Big, and they were like purple ones. There were like all sorts of like really big chunky starfish.
And then what I also said as well is normally an aquarium will have maybe one tank dedicated to the whole plastic pollution storyline. They had like a whole room. But what didn't feel like, oh, we've just done this because we didn't have anything to put in here, so we just decided to make it about plastic pollution. Like, they had the room to be able to really dedicate it to this whole wider issue.
Do it properly.
Yeah, and do it really well. Just loved it.
It was really, really good. The whole thing was great. Like, I really, just a big fan.
As we said, like, in terms of value for money for this whole zoo, like, I would pay the same ticket price that you'd pay for that whole zoo. I would pay that again just for the aquarium. So the fact that you're paying maybe like, 20 odd euros, and you're getting this massive zoo and then a massive aquarium, it's such good value for money. Yeah.
And if I was a member nearby and I had like young kids or family, you could just take them to the aquarium for a day. Like, and just wander around and let them tire themselves out. Like, it was really good. Really, really solid. And like, I feel like it's a shame that like, I almost wish I'd known just how big and diverse it was, because like, I feel like we could have dedicated a whole day just to that. Like, I wouldn't have probably prioritised going back to Rotterdam, because it would have been a lot. But I would have liked to have allotted more time in my life to this aquarium. Which,
definitely.
Really, really good.
Really,
and
they had like the tunnel you walked through, and there was sharks above our head.
Yes. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. Like, it was
I
just,
keep remembering
I forgot about the tunnel.
Yeah, I know, that's what I mean.
Tunnel.
Like, it was so big that we're forgetting bits. I'm just thinking back to the pictures that I took. They had the lab bit that had the Little Mermaid's purses in them.
I love that. I think that was really good for like an educational resource to be like.
And there was actually members of staff in there like doing lab work
science.
at the time. Yeah, they had their white coats on. They were professional.
Yeah. Oh, it was just so good. Oh, it was the whole thing. The whole thing was so good, and like. It just continued this theme of like, you can tell someone really cares about this.
Yes, there was just a theme of like general excellence, I feel, around this zoo. Had that vibe. Great.
Oh, it was so good. And any closing thoughts on that before we move on?
Excellent.
That's all we needed to know. And then, of course, so we move on, sadly, from the aquarium into... What was the next thing? Actually, I do have a closing thought, which was, I appreciate a zoo that dedicates enough space and time to the ocean, because I think zoos are good at educating about land-based conservation issues, but I think ocean-based conservation issues are usually tackled exclusively by aquariums, and I think that for a zoo to paint this more holistic picture of the world was actually very progressive and interesting.
Yeah.
Because all of these things are connected.
Yeah.
All of the cycles are connected. Oceans connect to rivers, which connect to forests, which connect to... And then the birds transition between land and sea and all of these things. And predators eat certain things. And just like this pollution storyline matters, the climate change storyline and how it affects all of these things matters. Yeah. So I really appreciate that.
I appreciate a zoo that has an aquarium as part of it, because they're really tying it all in. Yeah.
So that can be closing thought on the aquarium, aside from just the word excellent. So then, yes, once you've done that, you move on, you go back under the bridge to Africa, which is, again, fantastic. And the first thing you come to, if you're going the way we came, are a series of wonderful, large herbivores. You have things like gazelle and bongos before you get into giraffes and zebras and things. So let's start with bongos.
Okay.
Bongos are one of the most critically endangered antelopes. They're, I think, the largest forest antelope, and they are probably arguably the most beautiful of the antelope species that are out there. They just seem so large and delicate, and like so like, you know, that we were like, they're so big but they still feel like timid and like nervous but like beautiful at the same time. I don't know how to fully capture that magic, but they're just beautiful animals. And I feel like we got so lucky because just as we kind of had this moment of like, wonder if we'll see them, one walked like right along the
right
fence. And it was just like beautiful and gorgeous, and I loved it. I've always loved bongos, and I think like it was a strong start to the Africa area. I feel like not quite as strong for you because you wanted to keep moving because we were running out of time.
Yeah, we'd left this bit till towards the end because on the map it looked huge. And I was like, right, we need to cover more continents before we get to Africa.
Yeah, but what did you think of the bongos when you did see them?
I was really more letting you have your moment at this point. Like I was just there to take the pictures and let you have this one-on-one time with the bongo. That's
fair. That is fair. But I loved it. I thought it was very good. It was also, there was gazelle there, and then you came to like an aviary, which had another significant moment for me. I don't know if you cared. The aviary contained African birds. I think there was hammerkop. There was big kind of vultures. But the real star was my first ever secretary bird, which
I remember,
even more stupid and magical in person. Like they just like walk with such self-importance that like I loved it. And like the two of them were like chasing each other around, which I think was very funny. They were like just like strutting up and down like it was a catwalk. For people who don't know, a secretary bird is big white bird, big long, very thin legs that it uses to crush snakes.
Yep.
It like has this big long neck, this plume of like feathers on its head, like these stupidly long eyelashes that just make it look very glamorous, and they are just wonderful. They go around just stomping, and I love it. I loved it. We saw it like fly a little bit, like run and like take off a little bit, which was great. Like, just so good. And again, you went like the theming in this area was so good. So you come from like, you feel like in each of these areas you've transitioned from like Asian plant life, Asian like planting, Asian
the whole thing is all
like
very cohesive.
Animals into like South American type plants and animals into kind of North American, and then you again feel that change when you come into Africa and you have this kind of like wonderful like change into what is like a beautiful hut that takes you into the bird aviary, and it was just brilliant. So I really enjoyed that. Do you have thoughts on it?
There was good like signage and stuff up in there as well. I could not read most of it because most of it's in Dutch, but there was lots of good info about the birds, which was good because I feel like sometimes people go, it's a bird, whatever. Yeah. Because they'd given them their moment, which was good.
Yes, I think it was really, really good. And I think there's just this thing about some birds are so gloriously iconic and for being weird and wonderful. And we'll come on to the shoebill in the Prague review, but the ReZOO. But the secretary bird, I think, also fills that iconic, wonderful role. And like, it was just so satisfying. And it was, again, a moment of these connections, like the Amur Leopard, like the Pallas Cat, where I was like, I've never seen you before. And I have waited my whole life for this moment, and it feels special. And like, I kept smiling the whole day looking at it. It was just wonderful. And it really reignites that like childhood, like, excitement in you, because you're like, yes, like I love this and I've never seen it before, and it feels like I've done this, like it's amazing and like just wonderful, and like lived up to expectations in terms of the sassiness as well, which I really appreciated. I mean, I love that you were like so unfussed by them, and you're like, how could it not? But yes, so the like, you see the secretary birds, and you then come on to see couple other things. Got a huge amount of other things. Next thing, before we move on to, well, this area is kind of, the paths all kind of crisscross each other. So this, I could feel the stress levels building.
This was the only bit where it wasn't just kind of one route that you followed. We had a choice, and I was like, oh no.
So so we've seen bongos and gazelle. We then come up to the birds, and the next stop naturally is the servals, which are cats, which weren't on the map, which really threw you and upset you. I remember you being like, this isn't on the map.
I was like, this isn't on the map. Like,
yes. And I think they were opposite maybe like a little veterinary type station as well.
So I don't know if they weren't on the map because maybe that's just a temporary
I think it looked like they were meant to be in there because it seemed designed for them. I think it was just the vet thing was opposite them, which also wasn't on the map, which also confused and stressed you out.
So I was glad we'd left Africa till the point of the day we had, because had I been hit with that stress at the start
it's like I have to make a choice.
It made me have a meltdown. So.
Yeah. But servals, beautiful cats. They, I think, raise important conservation issues to do with social media. People seem to think it's very funny to have, or interesting to have servals alongside things like primates and other cats as pets. It's not funny and it's not interesting to have a serval as a pet. I'm very sorry if you have one. They shouldn't be in your house.
Yeah.
It's when you see them like on social media with people like pawing, like they have them with their kids and stuff. I'm like, that animal is fully capable of murdering that child. Perfectly within its rights to, because you've put it somewhere it's not meant to be. It's going to be stressed and angry. So I think as a species, it's really interesting to see them. And I think, again, having them here in an environment where they are kept to the highest possible standard, like, it really highlights the difference between these people who have them for show on social media and what a good, caring institution who's doing good conservation work can do. And then also you can raise those conservation points with visitors, with people, and be like, these are the types of animals people have as pets.
And I feel like a lot of collections shy away from like bringing up the bad stories, but I don't think we should. It's the same as like when you're talking about your big cats, like your lions and tigers, how in some places they're sort of taken as cubs and they'll be hand reared for this demand for like tame cubs that you can go in and cuddle and walk and pet and all that kind of thing. And a lot of places it's like it's taboo to talk about it, and it's like, well, no, you need to raise awareness, these points, because it does happen in the world and you need to talk about it. And
it's something that, like, see, after Tiger King
came out, exactly.
Everybody was like, that's what all zoos are like. And I'm like, no, Tiger King and all of these things were like really just egotistical, nasty people buy big cats to make themselves feel good about themselves, are not the same as a good conservation zoo.
I have worked with people, obviously I work in education in a zoo setting, and I have worked with people in the past who will not even say the word Tiger King. Like, they don't want to talk about it, they will not mention it, and I'm like, no, I mention it in my talks quite frequently because I want to draw that comparison and explain to people why good zoos who are upholding the standards are different, and why it's very much not the same as what you see in something like Tiger King, you know?
Yeah.
Like, use that, take these big things that you see on social media or on TV or whatever that are in the public sort of general awareness, bring them and use them.
Yeah.
So you can use them as a good tool to highlight the difference.
Yeah, it's like you can't ignore things that are going on.
Yeah, just because we wish they weren't going on doesn't mean you can ignore them.
Exactly. And it's only by, I feel like the purpose of zoo education is to make people aware of these things and make them aware of all of the stuff that's going on, but also give them the tools and the resources and the hope that these things can change.
Exactly.
And with things like people buying animals and pets, they can only change if people know not to buy them and discourage people and don't give the social media cliques of people who abuse these animals. So this has nothing to do really with Rotterdam Zoo.
No, we've just gone off on a rant about zoos.
I think it's a good thing that like people need to be aware of, is that like these things happen, but by avoiding them, by reporting people on social media who do these things, it highlights and it sends a message that you don't want to see it. Like, for some reason, I think because I was looking at like big cat content in terms of like wild big cats on social media, all of a sudden I started getting these like people with servals as pets and stuff coming up, and I was like, I don't want to see this, so start report. And it is discouraging sometimes, because Instagram and things, I'll call you out, Instagram will come back and say, this isn't animal abuse, this isn't bad. And I'm like, it is though. And like, but you only by hundreds and thousands of people who see that video reporting it and saying it's bad, will things start to change. And so by, you have the power to ignore, and you also have the power to do something to change.
Like, it's easy to ignore the things we don't love. It's harder to have the hard conversation about it, but I think it's more worth it to have the hard conversation.
Exactly, and act on it. Report things, do things, call out the things that are bad, and tell social media companies and all these things that you don't like seeing it, and maybe then things will hopefully begin to change, and they will start to take note of the fact that, like, oh, that is a bit abusey, isn't it? So just a bit abusey. So So,
but anyway, yes, Rotterdam Zoo had servals.
Which I feel
Back to that.
To be fair though, I haven't gone on many conservation rants this episode, and usually I go on at least 6 or 7.
And I feel like this was a worthwhile one.
Exactly. So servals, really interesting to see. Beautiful cats, wonderful animals, excellent. moving on, you come past, and then we kind of get to those big mammals I was talking about a second ago with the zebras, kudu, and giraffes. And I feel like this is like an iconic zoo building. I've seen this building before. I'm sure I've seen it before, which is this big kind of like...
It's almost like a barrel-shaped building.
It's like a barrel, but not all the bits of the barrel. So like imagine a wooden barrel with all of the like bits of wood going up and down, but no one's trimmed all the bits of wood to be the same height. So the barrel has like weird random bits of the wood are longer than the rest of it. But it's iconic, and I feel like you'd know it if you saw a picture of it. It's beautiful.
And if someone showed you a picture and went, what animal lives in this house? You probably would guess what's in it. Yeah, because it's a tall building. Yeah. Tall and thin.
Oh, and it was great. I loved it. I think it was just like, it was really interesting to see just these animals in a mixed habitat, in a big habitat, in like a grassland space. What I liked about this was, so you start kind of at the servals and then you kind of walk up this walkway. So you're kind of at what would be head height of a giraffe. They also had at this point a big fake baobab tree, which you could go up onto the top of, which was great.
Could, like, walk up
and you could overlook these African plains, which were just beautiful and interesting. And they had these long grasses and bits of watering holes, and like it just was very immersive and really excellent.
Because I think I'd gone up the tree while you were over here taking pictures of the thing that was down below, which I think was hyenas.
It was hyenas. Yes. So yes, on one side you have this kind of like, you're going up this walkway, and on one side you have all of these big herbivores, and on the other side you have hyenas, which I was very excited about, because you don't see hyenas very often. You're like up above looking down on them, which is quite cool. And like hyenas, again, important conservation stories about human-wildlife conflict and all sorts of things. So it was great to see them, because I don't think I've seen hyenas in the wild before, but I've not seen them in years. So it was really good to see them. I feel like
they've been at zoos we've visited, but we never see them.
They're very good at hiding. Yeah. Because they dig like dens and stuff.
Yeah,
and, like,
there was one or two, and they were pretty active. They were like
running about being like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like,
I think, was this not the part of the zoo where the fence line, it was like a path? Because it was right at the edge of the zoo, and there was a path on the other side, and like a cyclist.
I think it was like a staff path.
Yeah. I'm sure someone went past on a bike and they were like, oh, what's that? So they were like out and about. Yeah. So that was quite cool to see them.
Yeah, it was just a good space. So yes, you've got giraffes on one side, these guys on the other, and then you come into the giraffe house, and it's excellent. You're right at giraffe head height. You can see them. It's really cool to kind of be at that level with them. And it means that even when they're brought inside for the evening, you can still see them. And it was really, really cool. Really, really good savannah area. Followed immediately by an excellent crocodile, hyrax, okapi explosion of just brilliantness.
Yes, this little building. It was a building, wasn't it?
It was a building.
Yeah, this was cool.
You go in, and so you've kind of raised up to this level, and it feels like then you're going down a slope again. And you go down through like this area which has, as I say, all of these like iconic animals. Big crocodiles, small hyraxes, but entertaining hyraxes. I think there was tortoises. And then you move through into like a jungled area, which has okapi. So it's this really like big transition between like savannah animals, crocodiles, and like river-based animals almost, but and then into like okapi, jungly species. It was like birds and stuff. It was really good.
What I liked about this, I didn't clock at first, was as you kind of walked down past these big glass walls that had crocodiles on the other side, I didn't realise till we'd been looking at them for a while that it was like, was it 2 or 3 different types of crocodile?
Yeah, I think so.
I appreciated that, because again, that's the benefit of having a bigger zoo. You don't just have to be like crocodile, tick, like you can afford to have more than one example of the same animal. And that was cool to see, because normally you go in and you see maybe 1 or 2 crocodiles in a crocodile space, and that's it. There was loads in here. Yeah, so cool, and they were right up at the glass.
Oh, it's just so good. I just really, really appreciated it. It was good, and it was good. Like, overall, really interesting space. I think this is one of the few areas where we're like, we're going to go back to this. Yeah, like we went round this bit again because we're like, we really enjoyed this bit, and the okapi house was really cool.
Hyraxes were like, there was loads of them as well, and it was that way of, again, with the red pandas, you thought, oh, there it is, and then you went, oh no, wait a minute, there's like, there's one there and one there and one there, and there was like 6 more.
Yeah,
all over the place.
Yeah, I love it. And okapis again, wonderful. interesting.
They had a good space as well, because you kind of went around that outdoor bit and then you went in the indoor bit, and they had, was it like males and females were separated?
Do you know how you tell the difference between a boy and a girl, Okapi?
You told me when we were looking at them, but I can't remember now.
The boys have something the girls don't. Not...
Well, yes.
Apart from that, the boys have something else the girls don't have.
I can't remember what it is, though.
Ossicones.
Because
they are related to giraffes,
related to
so
giraffes.
they have the like bony bits on the top of their head.
Yes. Which I think is nice that you kind of naturally flow to them from the giraffes.
Yes.
It's a good flow.
So big fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they
had meerkats in this house as you left as well. Meerkats.
Forgot about the meerkats.
I know. Well, because they were, by that point it was like, oh, meerkats.
We've seen the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Come back to meerkats.
They were just kind of, I don't know why they were in that house. It was a bit of a random transition, but
I feel like Africa. This is the thing with Africa though, is that I sometimes think that we break these things down, and like the world is organised in zoos and in botanic gardens by like continent. But for example, with Africa is such an incredibly biodiverse and hugely different continent. When you classify an area as Africa, that has to cover everything from jungles to coastlines to savannas to mountains to all sorts of incredible landscapes and incredible creatures. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I do wonder about, like, I know we like this organisation, but sometimes I do wonder, like, is it the best way to do it?
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there as like is the way that European zoos and we are all taught to organise the world the best way of organising it? Because sometimes it does mean that, like, you have animals that don't necessarily live together to get near each other. Where in fact, it might actually be more similar to have an okapi or like have a meerkat next to something like a prairie dog. Because they live in similar habitats on different continents, but they fulfill similar roles and they do similar things. Yeah. So it's just a thought to put out there of like, is the way we classify things correct? I think it's nice and it creates a picture, but it does sometimes make these transitions where you're like...
You walk through... I was going to say you walk through some flaps. What I mean is, like that you have in zoos to stop birds getting out. Yeah. You walk through them, and just as you're about to leave, I think we were like, oh, meerkats. Like, almost didn't spot them because they were just down here in the corner. So
just some thought processes for everyone there about meerkats. They have prompted something big in my brain.
Prompted a big philosophical zoo question. Yeah. Good for them.
Yeah. And then, we move on. There was the red buffalo, which were lovely. We didn't see much of them because they were kind of keeping themselves to themselves, but there was them. And then we move on to a second species of rhino, which black rhinos. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think
black rhinos.
Were. Yeah.
And then they kind of are backing on to the pygmy hippos as well. And what's nice, I feel like we're now into what was probably the oldest part of the zoo.
Yes.
In that. They haven't... So all of these other areas have been very themed to the environments in which they're in. But this area, while the habitats themselves and inside of the spaces are themed to Africa, the buildings themselves feel older.
Yeah, they did.
So, like, I quite liked the link to history, though. I think it was quite interesting. Like, yeah. Did you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, because we were sort of walking around the outside of the building, so we could see like the outdoor hippo space and then the outdoor rhino space. And then later when we went into that building, was that it was sort of a big long building that had a large animal that we'll come to in a second. And then you went further along and it was almost like a bit of the building was shut off along the end. And we thought, I think that's the indoor space for the...
rhino.
For the rhino, but we couldn't get into it at that point. Yeah, so that felt like a building that maybe historically had even had different animals in it, and now we need to put these animals in. Yeah. But
it's not like they just chucked them in. They had adapted the environment to be there.
But you got the vibe of like, maybe this had other things in it.
Yes, and I think it was a good throwback to think about the older style of zoo and be like, look how this space now just has rhinos, but in a long time ago it probably had a whole lots of other things in it. But I really couldn't tell. Because it was one of those things where it seemed old, but I couldn't tell whether it was old, or designed to look old. Yeah. Like, it was one of those ones, like, and it didn't feel old as in bad old. It felt like old as in, like, the design style was an older style. Not like, oh, this is a bit grotty.
Yeah.
Like,
just the design of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was exciting to see the black rhino, because I feel like you don't see them quite as much.
Chester.
In zoos. Well, yeah, but... Normally I feel like it's a one horn or it's a white rhino. Like that just seems to be what zoos lean toward.
Edinburgh.
I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
So although I have seen the black rhino before, it's not quite as common. So it's quite nice. And again, I appreciate a zoo that's not just gone rhino, tick. Like they're going to have different types of rhino in their different areas of the zoo. I like that.
Yeah.
Always
and then,
fun.
Then you loop round rhino.
Mm-hmm.
You loop past pygmy hippo.
Mm-hmm.
Great, interesting, wonderful species. To the final kind of two big primate species, which were the gorillas and the geladas.
Mm-hmm.
The gelada space was really interesting because it was kind of this like weird like rock structure where you kind of went under, but like it was a building, but like it was updated to be like, it was very cool. So you had these
hard to describe, but
cool.
Yes.
Really, really interesting. And then you had the gorilla house, which seemed huge. Like the gorilla space seemed like there was so much outdoor space for them, loads and loads and loads. And then they had the indoor space, and that's the animal you were hinting at a second ago was connected to the rhino house as well. So it was a big old gorilla space. And I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. It was interesting. It had a little baby who was just going a bit mental, which was very cute. Mm-hmm. Like annoying all the adults, spinning round, pushing things, climbing on things, poking things. The silverback was horrifyingly huge. Like scary big. Yep. Scary big. And like that way where you're like, I really hope it doesn't like hit that wall, because I have faith that if it really wanted to, it would come through it. Like that's the kind of like size of this thing. It was really like
one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. Yeah, huge. And there was quite a lot of them as well. It wasn't just like, oh, there's 3 gorillas. You know, like there was a whole
big old family.
Yeah. It was very busy in there as well. Like there was a lot of people in there just watching them.
Yeah. Oh, I just loved it. It was great. It was great, and you could tell like they were really capturing people's imagination in a way that I feel like primates always do, because we see ourselves in primates, in like the gorillas and like but no, I really, really loved it. Really, really loved it. And I guess that's kind of all of Africa. I think. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
There was the place with the toucans, but what
I
was
think that was more of a
what
greenhouse.
zone was it
I think it
classed
was more just as like an entry point kind of place,
because that had like a little food bit and a soft play bit.
Yeah, so like basically we're now back at the entrance point in which we came in.
Yeah.
So we've kind of done the full loop. And at this point there was the ticket desk, there was a couple of restaurants, and there was like this indoor play area bit for kids that had also attached to it some greenhouses that had birds and plants.
But you had to go
stuff
through the play area to get to the greenhouse bit. So you could miss it, because we almost missed it, because I was like, no, that's just a play area. You were like, but look,
go in there.
Birds on the map.
Go in there. Yes. It's really good. It's really interesting. And then the last couple bits are the Australia and Europe section. Europe being a reindeer area and a kind of bug wildlife garden, which is lovely. And Australia being represented solely by wallabies.
Yes.
But strong choice, because everyone loves wallabies. Any thoughts on those? But they were quite small, nice areas.
Yeah, I feel like because they're tucked right up in that corner on the edge of the zoo, like you'd almost miss them. But if you didn't sort of stray up there. Yeah. But make the effort to go and
especially
and
that
see
bug area. I imagine at this time of year it'll be beautiful. Like as all the wildflowers have emerged and things. When we went, it was a bit cold, so like there was less of the kind of like.
I feel like that was next to the education-y bit.
Yes.
It's a good place to take kids.
Yes, I think so.
Teach them about the bugs and biodiversity and whatnot.
Yeah. So overall, big fan of these little areas. Overall, massive fan of the zoo.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that is us covered.
And we did nip round. We then went like the main path to quickly nip to a few favourite bits again.
Yes.
But by the end of the day, my legs were aching. We'd done more than 20,000 steps.
It was a big day. I think it was a 30,000 step day on the
Yeah.
Fitbit there.
That was
and it was worth it. And I think it was beautiful. And I loved Rotterdam Zoo. Like it was just incredible. The whole thing was just like insane. Insane. So yeah, I guess that brings us to our concluding thoughts, unless I've missed anything, but I don't think I have. And so
do we have a quick check of the map just to make sure we've not
missed anything? That's okay. I've got the map open on my laptop here, listeners.
Let's have a look. Just have a quick
Asia,
glance.
wee, round this way, and then we looped down past tigers, down under the road. Oh, maybe I think it was a railway rather than a road. Bridge. Correcting myself. Through the aquarium, and back up again. And I think that was everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was everything. Lovely. So we have gone around everything, which means we can now move on to other stuff. Our bonus stuff section.
Stuff. The official bonus stuff.
Which, for this, I feel like is quite a small category because I feel like we've really covered a lot of it going through. Yeah. Usually we cover things like interp and stuff. Overall, I would say whatever they ask you to pay it. It's worth it. Gift shops were really good because they weren't just at the entrance and exit. There was gift shops dotted throughout the zoo, so you were able to visit. And they seemed targeted at different audiences, which was very nice. Kind of like some of them had more of the kind of adult items, more kind of classier goods. Others were more games that kind of like kids, seemed like pocket money type toys, which was good. Food venues were well spaced throughout the zoo, and even though it was winter, a lot of them seemed to be open, which was excellent. Because
we stopped and got like a cookie.
Oh yeah, it was a good cookie.
Yeah,
and a coffee, which was good. And yeah, everyone was like really lovely. And like, as if you're coming from the UK and you only speak English, like I would say also not a concern. Everybody there was so like accommodating in terms of like, I think opposed to Amsterdam, which is clearly like tourist hub of the Netherlands, like where everyone kind of opens with English or to kind of like gauge your vibe of like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
This was, everybody kind of opened in Dutch.
Yeah. And
kind of were talking to each other in Dutch. But once they realised, like, oh, they don't speak, that's fine. They would transition so quickly to English, like nothing, like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And be so accommodating, so helpful. And so as a tourist, even though it's not perhaps the major tourist hub, I would still feel so confident going there and I wouldn't feel nervous. Yeah. Like being like, oh, what if I get lost? Like, even though it's not maybe a major tourist route, everyone is so lovely, so accommodating, and like...
And I feel like similarly with a lot of the signage at the different habitats and whatnot, the main language on them was Dutch this time. Whereas in other places, it's maybe first it's in English and then a little bit in Dutch. But they still had a little bit in English on most of the signs. Maybe not quite as in depth as it was in Dutch. But there was stuff there, but there was enough there that you could see what was going on, which was, I also appreciated. Yeah, that was lovely.
It was good. It was good. And I really liked that. Really, really liked that. And I think it was something that was really nice and accommodating. And I know for a fact that if somebody came to the UK, any UK zoo, and started speaking Dutch, no one would be able to help them.
I know.
So it was really lovely that people were able to help us and were so like understanding of our poor language skills. But no, it was really, really great. Really, really great. And I can't say enough good things about the staff overall. Everyone was really nice and lovely and helpful, and even like in the restaurants and cafes and everyone you interacted with just left you with like a good vibe. So yeah, I guess then that brings us to our 2 stars and a wish. So Jodi, 2 stars, or 1 star to start with, and then I'll do
my first star has to go to the aquarium, because it was just so good, and we always appreciate an aquarium, but yeah, just because that was, if that was a standalone aquarium, it would probably be one of the best ones I've ever been to.
How much would you pay as an individual attraction?
Oh, well, on average, I feel like you pay about 20 euros to go to a zoo or an aquarium, typically, both here and in Europe. And I feel like, I would pay £20 to go into that. Yeah. It was worth it. Yeah.
Okay, that's a solid review, actually. That was excellent. I would say my first star would be the big Asian mammal house. In terms of like elephants, rhinos,
every time you say Mammal House, the reason I keep laughing is because it's making me think of Waffle House, which is a Jonas Brothers song that's on the radio all the time just now. So every time you say Mammal House, I'm going Mammal House in the theme of Waffle House.
Okay.
That's why I keep laughing.
If someone wants to edit that together, I would love that. But okay, well, the Mammal House was lovely, and I think it was themed well. It featured, of course, the tapir, which is the top tier animal, and 2 also iconic species, rhinos and elephants, and I just really loved it. So that would be my first star. Second star
has to go to the red panda bit.
Oh, I forgot.
That is the best red panda dedicated zone I've seen in a zoo. That was great. Getting the love they deserve. 10 out of 10 for that. Yes, that was absolutely a solid work on that one. And I would say my second star is, see, it would be so easy to double up any of your, because I agree with yours. I'm like, I could give them, but I'm going to try and diversify it a little bit. I'm going to say Amur Leopard, and I'm going to group it larger and say animals that I've never seen before, because I think like there's some animals that you don't see in zoos, and the star for me is that this zoo
highlights a lot of those things. Secretary birds, the Amur Leopards, the Pallas Cat, the like, all sorts of really bizarre, the bongo, really good design for these animals that are not normally highlighted in zoos, but overall were excellent. So really my last star is 4 stars, but that's fine. Okay. We'll get past. Okay. Now, wish. I can't think of anything, so that's why I'm making you do it first.
I don't know if I have a wish.
I'm like looking at the map.
I know, I'm looking at the map too, to be like, what did I wish? I not so much a wish, but what could make it easier would be, you know, like we've talked about this before, like at Chester you've got the map that you can get on the app, and how we wanted that to be more interactive. Maybe a similar thing here, because it's so big. Did they have an app? Was it interactive?
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go.
Why? I think the reason you didn't know that is because I had the app on my phone and was like,
because if you could go around and just like, you know,
you got given the old style paper map.
I had the paper and I was like, what have we done and what have we not?
Blowing and wet,
pouring with rain. Yeah.
So I was like,
if you could go around on your phone and just like tap once you've done, you know, the little individual loops coming off the main path.
Or something.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, if you could tick them to be like, yep, I've done that loop.
That would be good. That's a good feature.
Because then you'd know, oh, I've not missed any. I've done all the little loops.
Well, that's a good thing to mention. They do have an app.
Oh, there you
so go and Jodi's. They've already sorted Jodi's issue.
I know that was a quick wish.
Coming
true there. Thank you.
And then I guess for me, then I would say my wish would be. I really don't know. I really am struggling. I would say I have. I think okay. If I had to pick something, I would say when we went in, like, it would have been good for the people to tell us that so for example, because most of the signs were in Dutch, and including the sign that said like the Amazon area is closed and this sort of stuff because of the winds, it would have been good of them to mention at the start, like, oh, by the way, like, because you're speaking in English, like, could you, just so you're aware, this area is going to be closed, but if the winds die down later on in the day, because we might have missed that otherwise. Yeah. So maybe just a little more interaction.
And I feel like normally when you go, well, certainly like places here in the UK that I've worked, if there's something different that day, like, oh, an area's closed, or this bit isn't going to be on today, they make a point of telling you.
And I suppose that isn't even like that's not a language-based barrier. That's just like it's just they should mention it to everybody type barrier. Yeah, that's fair.
Because if you make the effort to be like, oh, this is on the map, I'm going to go see it, and then you get there and it's closed, you've walked all that way for something that's closed, you know?
Yeah. So maybe that would have been nice. But aside from that, like, that is so minor because it did open and we did see it. Like, I'm literally nitpicking because I can't find anything
because we saw the sign, and I mean, even without speaking the language, when there's like a big red thing with a line like through closed. It, that means closed, you know. So we figured out it was closed, we just were not
didn't
sure
know it was
why.
Going to open. And
and even if it hadn't, I'm nosy and I would have been interested to know why it was closed, you know. So
I think that's fair. Fair. So those are the wishes, which are so nitpicky that it doesn't really matter. And so I guess then the last thing to do, or a word to sum up. I feel like we need to stop doing this because it becomes so tricky.
We're running out of words.
We really are. Our vocabulary is not good enough.
What would I say about this?
I would say,
I don't know. I'm thinking, like, what did it leave me feeling? What was my impression it gave me? And I just felt impressed, really, like, because it just... I don't know, because I'm thinking about how, like, artists left me feeling and then how this left me feeling. I think I was really pleasantly surprised with this because I went in not having low expectations, but just not really having
because you didn't know what it was going to be.
And because, as I said, I thought that artists would be the kind of main star because it's in Amsterdam, which is more high profile than Rotterdam. So then I was really blown away by it and I felt like, why are they not making a bigger deal of this? You know?
Yes.
Like,
okay. So underrated.
Underrated. That's a good word for it.
Yes, when it is a star. It should be the one that everybody in Amsterdam or in the Netherlands goes to see.
Yes, like it is a... So, and then I had like my friend messaging me after being like, oh, is it worth, like when I go to Amsterdam later in the year, is it worth
Who's going to Amsterdam?
I think it was Emily.
Emily. Go.
I can't remember if she said she's going, but she said, like, is it worth a visit if I was to go to Amsterdam? And I was like, yes. For a non-zoo person... Maybe it's quite a trek, like it's quite a commitment to get out to Rotterdam.
But if you were going to see Rotterdam for a few days or a day or whatever,
But for a zoo person who's going to be dedicated like us, who just wants to see lots of zoos they've not seen before, yes, take the train to Rotterdam, it's worth it. Because this is up there with one of my favourite zoos I've ever been to. That was my impression I was left with.
Oh wow.
It was very good.
Okay. Those are some big words.
Yeah, well, it's they back those words up.
Yeah.
The Rotterdam Zoo.
They really
back
do.
Them up.
They really, really do.
They are not empty words.
Oh, so good. So good.
Talking about it makes me be like, why is it so far away?
I sometimes think that. I'm like, oh, like Prague Zoo, artist, this. Like, there's so many that I'm like, I want to go back, but I can't go back. Not without a huge financial investment. I
know.
So, yeah. But, anyway, loved it. Fantastic. Great. Wonderful. Excellent. Any closing thoughts?
No. I'm lost for words.
We have been
Just
going for like...
it.
I actually think this is shorter than I thought it was going to be, given how long we spent there.
Given how massive the zoo is. Yeah.
But I guess then that leaves us to wrap up. Thank you so much, listeners, for listening. Thank you, Jodi, for reliving Rotterdam Zoo with me.
I remembered more of it than I thought I would.
Yeah.
It's all come back to me now, and I'm like, oh, that was so good.
It was so great. I loved it. Our chairs didn't creak as much as we thought they would.
Right?
Well, I say that now when I go through the audio to edit. Maybe it's terrible, but
apologies for that in advance.
But yeah, I just thank you all for allowing us to do this, for giving us kind of inspiration and an excuse to go to all of these places.
Yeah, for being able to justify our many trips to Europe.
Exactly. That's why we had to do this. Yeah. Even though it's been a couple months, we're like, we've got to do it. So yes, thank you so much for all of that and your constant support. If you would like to support the show more, you can subscribe on your favourite podcasting platform and leave us a nice review, or you can follow us on social media. We're at Pangolin Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, all over the place. Go have a look, follow us, show us some love there. You can also follow me on those platforms. I'm at OnlyJackBaker on Twitter and at TheOnlyJackBaker on Instagram. Any thoughts concluding to advertise, Jodi?
I can't believe you're on TikTok.
I know, I'm one of the youths. I'm very cool, hip and trendy.
I see. I am not on TikTok.
I actually realised like the other day though that I'm not funny for young people. This is a tangent, but just to wrap up the show, I was teaching at the zoo. And it was I was teaching a TikTok age group in that they're clearly the age that have grown up with social media and that sort of thing. And they came up to me. We were at the Binturongs, and I went, if loving them is Binturong, I don't want to be right. Which is a great joke. You should have laughed more at that.
I'm just waiting to see what's coming. Like, how
and one of the kids, one of the girls, was like, oh, I just turned away and was just like, wouldn't even look at me, like, oh, I'm just disgusted. Just disgusted by the idea of this joke. And I was like, okay, I'm old. Fine. But, maybe I'm getting more into it now. So follow us on TikTok. I'm posting things there. It's usually just cute animal videos. So go and have a look. It's great. And on that note of me embarrassing myself, thank you once again for listening. Thank you for allowing us to do what we do. And until next time, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.